Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Ty and this is Ty to Space. In today's video I've got three doorbell cameras. Now these three doorbell cameras are not just any doorbell cameras. These are Apple Homekit secure doorbell cameras. These are actually the only ones on the market right now that support Apple Homekit secure videos. There are two other cameras on the market that support Apple HomeKit, which is the Netamo and the Arlo, but they do not support HomeKit secure video. For those of you that don't know what HomeKit secure video is essentially Apple's way of storing your footages. You can keep footages, from your doorbell and have it stored on your iCloud account, and you get all of that, that security and privacy that comes with using Apple's ecosystem. Unfortunately, you need iCloud Plus subscription to be able to take advantage of Apple HomeKit secure video, and you can actually store footages for up to 10 days and it's an unlimited amount. However, it only stores footages. It's not for continuous video. You can't have continuous video recording on Apple HomeKit secure video. So it would only record activities such as, person, people, animals, packages, just anything activity related in general are the only things that will get stored on that iCloud platform using the HomeKit secure video, of course. I'm going to be comparing all three doorbell camera in this video in different categories, and let's start out with the price point. One of the most important factors when it comes to choosing or coming down to what product you want to settle for is the price point, because budget is not unlimited, so it's quite imperative to talk about the price as well. Now this guy comes in as the cheapest. It's 149 Canadian dollar, and I've seen it go on sale for even less than that on Amazon. I think probably 2 or 3 days ago I saw it go on sale. The Belkin is about $249.99, while the Logitech Circle is about $199. From a resolution perspective, the Aqara G4 doorbell camera comes with a 1080p camera, and it also has a 16:9 aspect ratio. That aspect ratio is where I think Aqara really dropped the ball on this doorbell camera, because essentially think of it like your TV screen, right? You're watching a TV, you get a longer view along the horizontal and a shorter view along the vertical. Now this doorbell camera only has a 162 degrees diagonal field of view, which is also very limited. Unlike the Belkin Wemo, now this guy has a resolution of 1200 by 1600 with a 3:4 aspect ratio. However, it does have a circular view. So what that means is that you get that fish eye look when you're looking at the views or the footages from this doorbell camera. It isn't exactly the greatest, but it gives you the best field of view, because this guy has a 223 degrees field of view, which is, I can see everything in front of my doorbell. In fact, even when people are standing right at the very front of my door, I can see it. I can see every packages, including even the wall in which my doorbell is mounted on. I can actually see that on this doorbell. It's pretty impressive in that that field of view. I love that. But the Logitech Circle, which comes in with a 3:4 aspect ratio as well, comes with a portrait view, which is better, which looks better to the eyes. It's what I think a doorbell should look like, but it doesn't have as much field of view as this guy, because it only comes in with a 160 degrees field of view. It is good. I think it's sufficient enough for most use cases. And another bonus with this doorbell is the fact that these two guys support HDR, which is high dynamic range. This guy doesn't have one. Now, where you're going to see HDR come into place in terms of low light conditions, and when you have people with darker skin tone like myself, a lot of the times images appear a lot more darker on the Aqara G4. But because of the HDR on these two guys, it cranks up the exposure on the footage, so you're able to make out a lot more details on it. In previous videos, when I first got this doorbell and started trying it out, it was extremely bad. But for some reason, 2 or 3 days ago, I reinstalled it and reconfigured it and did all the software updates again, and the footages have gotten significantly better. So I'll say, even with the lack of the HDR, the quality has gotten better. It could be much better with HDR enabled on this thing, but because of that lack of HDR and that the 16:9 aspect ratio, which basically means you lose a lot of the notifications and the package in front of the doorbell, I think this guy kind of takes the last in this category. These two guys are much of a better option when it comes to that regard. All right, let's talk about the nighttime images of these three doorbell cameras, because That's also a very important feature to consider when you're choosing a doorbell. And this guy comes in with an IR and a PIR sensor. So essentially at night time, it uses the infrared to kind of, create the image in a grayscale when there's no light. However, if you have a lit up Porsche, say for example, you do set up automation routines such that your Porsche light comes on when motion is detected, then you can actually get the colored images from this doorbell camera. I think I appreciate the fact that you have that option of being able to see colored images. I'm not a big fan of that grayscale image, but this guy just set up automation routines with some, many of the other Aqara products, and you can kind of set up that automation and get that colored footage. However, with the Belkin Wing, it also uses an IR sensor, but it is grayscale, unfortunately, at night, so you don't really get that that coloring. So for me, I think this is the worst performer in this category. This guy doesn't have an IR. This doorbell does have a 4000 Kelvin LED strip in front of it that illuminates at night to kind of brighten up the space and still give you that enhanced coloring even at nighttime. Even when there's no light as well, it still gives you that colored images, but the image is not quite as bright. So the fact that you have that 4000 Kelvin is kind of a bonus. So even if you have a Porsche that's not well lit, or you don't have that option of setting automation, this guy has that 4000 Kelvin light to take care of that for you, and you still keep that coloring. In this category, I think that it's a tie between these two guys. If you're going to set up automations and all that kind of stuff, then you don't really need the light that this guy offers. This guy will be able to do both of them. But if you're, depending on your situation, so I'll say it's kind of a tie, and it's kind of situation dependent. For me, initially, I kind of preferred this guy to this guy, but now that the quality on this guy has gotten better, I think I'm going to lean a little bit more towards this guy from that, in the nighttime perspective. Of course, I'm going to be using automations to set up my Porsche light to give that full brightness. From a multi-platform compatibility, now this is where the G4 outshines this two guys by a significant margin, because these two guys here, they only support Apple HomeKit. So if you don't have an Apple device that supports iOS or macOS, any of the Apple operating system, then you can't really use this guy. So if you have other people that are members of your household that have like an Android phone or some other operating system kind of phone, these two guys, unfortunately, they will not be able to use them. However, the Aqara G4 does support the Google, it supports Alexa, it supports Apple HomeKit, and there's future plans to roll out Matter to this guy, so which means it's going to support anything that supports Matter. So this guy has a whole lot more going for it, and it also has its own app as well, so you can download the Aqara app and view your footages, control a lot of the settings. You can even download clips as well from the Aqara app. As a bonus, this guy also supports, you can use micro SD card with this guy and, kind of store your footages locally if you don't want to store it on the iCloud, or if your iCloud, you want to have like a continuous recording enabled, you can enable it on this guy, but you can't really do that with this two guys. So there's just so much going on for this guy when it comes to that multi-platform support, and because of that alone, I think I really would be leaning more towards the Aqara G4, especially since I have seen a significant improvement in the quality of the doorbell camera over the past 2 days. From a wireless connectivity perspective, this guy only supports 2.4 gigahertz band, and these two guys support both 2.4 and 5. So what that essentially means is that the 5 band has more capacity, it has more throughput, and especially since we're going to be streaming live videos, you're probably going to get more throughput and better, speeds on this guy compared to this guy. But 2.4 gives you a much longer range compared to 5. So if you have like a very poor wireless coverage around your house, this guy will still do just fine. For me, I have full coverage across my entire house, even all the way to my front Porsche, and I would prefer to use the 5 gigahertz band for better throughput or better speed from a doorbell camera that's streaming a massive amount of data compared to using it over 2.4. So I would have loved to see that option on the Aqara G4, but unfortunately it is not there. So that kind of makes this guy better suited for that category. But for most people, this will be more than sufficient enough on the 2.4 band. In terms of power source, The Aqara G4 offers two ways to power the doorbell. You can either power it using 6 AA batteries, or you can use the wired source. However, these two guys can only be powered using the wired option. To power all three of them at the same time in my video for testing using a power adapter, which I plugged into a 15-amp receptacle that's outside of my door. So if you don't have existing wiring and you have a receptacle outside of your home, then you can probably use that as well to power this doorbell. Moving on to the next category, which is the radar resistance feature of this doorbell camera, because that's an important thing to consider, especially since this thing would be outdoors year-round, come rain, come sunshine, snow, whatever. The Aqara G4 doorbell is only rated for IPX3, unfortunately, which means it can only take a little bit of water splash. In fact, Aqara said that this camera should be installed under a covered porch to kind of reduce the exposure to the elements. However, these guys are rated for IP65, so which means essentially everything except submerging it inside water. So if your area is susceptible to a lot of thunderstorms and you don't have a covered porch, then this guy might not work for you. Although I've used some cameras in the past that says they're not rated for outdoors. Like I've had the Wise Cam for quite some time now. I've used it outdoors for the past 3 years, come rain, come sunshine, and everything. And this camera has still been holding up well. So you could risk it and, risk it and put it out there if you want, but it is not rated for that. For all the features you're going to be getting, this guy is definitely a better bang for your buck because, like I said, it supports the multi-platform support, the multiple power source, the fact that you can actually store your footages locally. For that price point, you get a ton of feature. Do you have the Wemo? Do you have the Logitech Circle? Do you have the Aqara G4? Let me know what you think down in the comment section, what your experience with this doorbells. I'd love to read from you guys, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.